Welcome back to the show, everybody. This is the upper tier, and this is Thursday Tier Talk. Joining me, as always, my partner on the show is the Dazzler himself, Darren. How are we?
I am good tonight, Niall. I'm very good. I'm
Good, good.
looking forward to our little conversation this evening. And yeah, I gotta say, Niall, I'm missing me Monday mashup.
Yeah. Yeah, you're missed, no doubt about it. People were asking in the comments where was the sidekick, that he wasn't there. So, and you've been getting garnering quite a response on other channels as well. People being mentioned how they've been enjoying your content and stuff like that. So
Ah,
all
good.
good at the moment. Yeah, you got to shout out Warren on Warren's team talk. Very impressed with you and stuff like that. Thinks you're great and stuff. So you mentioned it the other night on the show. So there you go.
Thanks,
Shout
Warren.
out to
Much
Warren.
appreciated.
Yeah, so there you go. Before we start, keep you updated. Ireland at the moment behind 1-0 to Norway. The goal on 41 minutes from Ostergaard. I think Odegaard got the assist. But since then, second half, Ireland have come out. They've been much stronger, creating a few chances and stuff like that. And would you believe it? On 69 minutes, Ireland have just equalised with
1-1, as they
a
say.
1-1, as they say. Alan Brown, I think, got the goal by the looks of things. So there you go. So
It's the
Ireland back
boy
in
from
it. So
Preston, isn't it?
yeah, I think so. Yeah, but thank God
Yeah.
for that, because the first half was absolutely diabolical and shocking. They were so off the pace and stuff like that. So we'll keep you updated on the Ireland game as always. But as you know, tonight was part two of the gonna get your thoughts on this. I dropped a reaction to part one last night, which was nothing unexpected that came out of it around like that. It was kind of what we expected. There was no real shock or any news in it around like that. Your camera's just gone there, Darren, if in case you're wondering.
Oh,
Um,
I
yeah,
was wondering.
you're just gone into dark mode there, Call of Duty. Um, so if you want to come back to us, but yeah, no, it was last night. I think was kind of the precursor, say, for tonight. Tonight, I think, was where all the shithousery was really going to come out. I know your thoughts on this, man. I think you've been very upfront about it. You kind of didn't really want them back right from the get go.
No,
You kind of felt how it was going to go. That this was only going to end up one way, regardless of everything else that was going on around it. Give me your thoughts on. Give me your brief thoughts on last night and kind of on tonight and what you're thinking on it and stuff like that.
I didn't watch it.
Okay, well, give me. You
I'll
didn't
tell you,
watch.
and
Did you watch
I
last
have,
night's?
I didn't,
Okay,
and I
right.
didn't
Well,
watch tonight's.
I'll tell you.
I'll tell you,
I'll
and
t-
I'm not, no, no, I'll just go through my thought process and reasoning behind this. Yeah.
Mm,
Um. So first of all, on both evenings, I'm in work. Like last night, I was in later. Then it would mean me going back and having to look for it, whatever. But I knew that I spend a lot of my time in the mornings with like the likes of Sky Sports News on in the background, and I knew any of the juicy or meaty parts will be plastered across Sky Sports News, plus Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, MySpace, fucking Reddit, anywhere else. Do you know what I mean? So
Bebo.
the whole shooting match. So I said to myself, I don't really need to waste this hour of my life at the minute on this petulant child. I'll get the meat and the gravy, you know, through other sources. I don't need to see. I don't need to give this guy 2 hours of my life. I've given him enough time over the last few weeks where he had plenty of opportunity to dazzle me with his skills on the pitch, and he wasn't able to do it. So I'm not too interested with his off field skills, shall we say?
Okay, let's I suppose let's. I suppose the way it went is it was kind of like it was more like a staged show than it was, this big exclusive interview. Because if you look at Piers Morgan, I mean, his interview style is not really an interview. He was obviously given a list of topics that
Absolutely.
angled themselves in a way like a script for a stage show, if you
Yeah.
like. But some of it kind of didn't add up to me. Um, I mean, I suppose when you talk about the loss of the child and the loss of his dad and all that stuff, me and you can concur with that. We're both fathers, so we
Absolutely.
understand. We can't imagine what it would be like to lose a child and,
No.
try to mourn the loss of a son while trying to celebrate the birth of a daughter and how difficult that must be. And
Yeah.
your heart torn and trying to explain to the other kids and going through all of that must have been really, really tough. There's no doubt about it. And I said last night on the show as well, I thought that, like, for him to be at the heights that he reached as a player, to now trying to come to terms with that part of his career is now over, must be very mentally absorbing and very tough to do as well, to accept that you're kind of, for lack of a better word, that you're done, let's say. And in his mind, he still believes he has plenty to offer, and he still believes that he's kind of, I wouldn't say he believes that he's in his prime, but he believes he's not far off it, let's say. But he's
Yeah.
nowhere near the far side of that mountain, if you like, going down.
Yeah.
And that must be tough to kind of accept as well. And then, of course, the other stuff where, like, pundits are having a go off him. Some pundits are not. Like, Kane has obviously supported him along. Rio has kind of supported him all along. But obviously Neville has had a go and stuff like that, and Rooney and stuff like that. And, he's obviously finding that very tough as well. And these guys are in jobs. They're pundits. That's what they're paid to do. They're paid to create headlines, create clickbait, get viewers, do all that kind of stuff. And that's not saying that they're not believing what they're saying, because a lot of what they're saying is pretty accurate as well.
Absolutely.
But he's finding it very difficult to adjust to the fact that former teammates are going in on him as well. But he's forgotten that they're no longer footballers, that they're pundits, and this is what they're paid to do. So there's a lot of stuff in it. And then obviously going in on Ten Hag, he's not happy with the way he's being treated by the gaffer. And I think that's where it's very difficult for United fans. I think United fans can accept when they hear that, like, the training facilities aren't what they should be, that the club has kind of stood still in terms of technology and in terms of nutrition and sports science and all that. And I think you guys, you don't need him to tell you that. You're pretty much aware of it yourselves somewhat.
Yeah.
But I think the other stuff, like, to turn around and say he didn't know who Ralph Rangnick was, I think is a stretch of the truth.
If Cristiano Ronaldo has ployed his trade in European football for the last 15 years and he had no idea who Ralph Rangnick was, like, that just beggars belief to me.
Yeah,
I've got to be honest.
It's one I couldn't believe. I couldn't believe it last night when he said that he didn't know who the man was. The other thing I couldn't believe, and I want to get your thoughts on this as well. And I know at times we talk about the Glazers and sometimes how detached they are from the club and stuff like that, and I get that. But he said last night on the interview as well that he's never met them. Now, that to me, I think, is also a stretch. I think if you're signing a player of this magnitude, or what was seen as this magnitude, coming in and you're paying a guy £500,000 a week, I think at some stage in a corridor or in a hall or in an office, you'll have sat down and met with him. I would think so.
I would imagine so too.
Yeah.
I think from the Glazers' point of view, when they threw the hat in the ring to get Ronaldo back to Old Trafford, I think this would have been the perfect sort of a photograph opportunity for the lads to pop up and say, arm around the shoulder, here's our new signing, we're on the way back, A, B, C, and D. It's something
jersey, scarf,
the whole
works,
shooting match.
9 yards.
Absolutely. Yeah. So to think that he's never met any of them is a stretch. Now, the only thing I will say is, we obviously know the way the world has changed over the last couple of years with COVID and things like that. And there was certainly a downturn, let's say, in travel from maybe the other side of the world and stuff like that in the States. But again, I would say it's highly, highly unlikely that this guy hasn't rubbed shoulders, met, shook hands with, or greeted a Glazer at some stage in his career.
Yeah. Now, here's an interesting one that I focused on last night. It was an interesting one that he mentioned. he's focused on the youth and how the youth don't really take advice anymore, that it's a different era, and that when he was coming up through the ranks at United, he went to Rio for advice, he went to Roy Keane for advice, and he said all this advice that he picked up from all these players over the years, these senior players, is what's allowed him to have this longevity in his career. And that's hard to argue with. I think that's fairly valid. I think if you pick out little things as you go along from different people and little sort of tricks of the trade, if you want to call it, and stuff like that,
Yeah.
it definitely helps you on your route. But he turned around. Let me know what you think of this. He said Roy Keane was the best captain he ever played with. Now,
I don't doubt that, if I'm honest.
good.
And you know, there's no love lost between myself and Roy, but I don't doubt that. As a person, I'm not as his biggest fan as a human being. But I think as a footballer, I've said it before, you can't but look at his career and marvel at some of the things he did at United. You know, he was that talisman for Manchester United. He was that guy that was there every single week, Mr. Dependable, 8 out of 10, dragging guys through games and at times, don't forget, you know, he could have looked around that team when he guys playing next to him gone, who's this guy and who's this guy? But he didn't. He went and he dug in and he brought guys up to his level and standard based on his will to win the games. And, you know, I don't think I could argue with that then, you know.
Yeah, no, I thought it was a good point, and I wanted to get your view on it because I wasn't sure whether he was kind of saying that in the interview because Keno had supported.
Well, I
him
mean,
all
there's that as well,
or is
isn't
it
there?
that as
Yeah,
well?
there's.
You know?
Listen,
So
he's absolutely giving him the rub there, isn't he? And I think
yeah.
this whole interview is about being, you know, given the rub and not given the rub in places. I mean, if you look at even how he's chosen Piers Morgan to do the interview, we all know that Piers had an issue with Good Morning Britain and when he was in there and he felt like he was undervalued by his employer and stuff like that. You know, Ronaldo knew going to offer him this interview. Piers Morgan can't turn this down. And by the way, neither can any other journal in the world.
Yeah.
If Ronaldo knocks on, absolutely. If Ronaldo knocks on your door and says he's going to give you the opportunity to, you know, to put your face on the camera with him and to give you the rub the way he's given it to Piers Morgan, you take it, you accept it, and you thank him gratefully. Now, for that, I think Piers, not that he ever had any journalistic integrity, has had to really sit on his hands here because, I mean, if you look at some of the questions, they're very watery. They really are. He doesn't ask him any of the hard questions. I mean, he's probably going to be asked tougher questions by taxi men, you know, and that's
yeah.
Not
he doesn't. He's not probing him. He's not probing him. Like even when Ronaldo gives an answer, he doesn't probe him for more to try and get that reaction out of him. That more natural reaction, if you like. This is more like, it felt more like a stage kind of script. This felt like an interview where Ronaldo could just appear on camera on StreamYard like this and give his thoughts. And Piers Morgan didn't even need to be there, but obviously he has that audience and that kind of thing.
And so, this is I suppose Piers Morgan's audience, which is taking it worldwide. And not just, you know, in the UK, in Europe and stuff like that. But Piers is a huge following in the US as well and all around the world because of, you know, things he's done in the past and stuff like that. And obviously the controversy he's caused at times. And he's playing a clever game here with this one. He knew very well what he was doing, and he knew that if he scratched Piers' back, Piers had to scratch his back. And everyone got the rub off this, and there was no losers, bar United, who actually, if Cristiano looks at it, won't lose out anyway because they're going to get to cut the ties here. I've absolutely no doubt that you know he's going to be let off the leash pretty soon.
Yeah, I was going to say to you, you're lucky you're going to New York next week, because if you were in New York this week, apparently the image of this interview is on all the big billboards around Times Square at the moment.
Okay,
everywhere on all the screens, so there'll be no escaping it. Like
doesn't shock me. Yeah, it really doesn't.
Which goes to show the draw of, I suppose you could argue, both men.
Of both men. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I think Piers garners a huge audience over there in the States, and I think Ronaldo's been very, very clever about that as well, you know.
Yeah. So the one thing that sort of stuck with me a little bit as well is his he was very down on the media and stuff like that, and we know how the media in England can be. Like once they hook you, that they're ruthless, let's say. But then he went out and he gave an exclusive interview with the Sun, which kind of was really, really bad. You know what I mean? That's like it was kind of like who's offering the most money. Oh, the Sun is, so I'll do an interview with the Sun. Now, if you do your homework, because you got to remember, 20 minutes before this, he was talking of how great the Liverpool fans treated him when he came back on the loss of the child and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
And then a half an hour later, you're hearing there was an exclusive interview with the Sun. So like you're talking out of both sides of your mouth, then, kid. You know.
And I suppose that's where I think himself and Piers have kind of looked at us as an audience and said, we can slide this one by them.
Yeah.
And I think they, you know, I don't think we should forgive them for thinking that we're gobshites, basically. And even the way, you know, he obviously, and to be honest with you, like, I think he was completely right when he spoke about the Liverpool fans and what they did. Yeah. It wasn't something he would have expected. You know, It wasn't something that maybe has happened in the past, but it was a human thing, you know, and Liverpool as a club obviously are acutely aware of what kind of tragedy can happen. And for them to do something like that was a beautiful gesture. And then, you know, moments later to mention that you've now got into bed with the Sun, you're just thinking, has he done this on purpose? I'm just thinking it's all too produced. It's all too, you know. Is
it like he's not just trying to trigger United fans? Is he trying to trigger football fans in general?
Yes.
That bigger audience.
It's so convoluted, the whole thing, isn't it? You know, it really doesn't lend itself to the faint of heart. I just haven't got the time for it, if I'm honest. Like it's just nothing that would excite me. You know, I've spoken about this lad for months and months and months on end, and about how when he plays in the team, and I love obviously the quotes that have come out from Eric Ten Hag and stuff like that, and he's been very, very blunt about some of them. You know, when we play with him in the team, we win less games. There's a fact. There's a fact,
and it's an undisputable fact. Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the fact of the matter. You know, and it's evident because, again, when you play the kind of style that Ten Hag wants to play, and where everybody has a shovel in their hand and everybody, you know, pulling in the same direction, it only works when everyone buys into it. It doesn't work when you have a guy who's, you know, hands a shovel to the bloke in the first row of the stand and says, "Hold that for me, I'm not used for it." You know what I mean? And that's the problem.
Yeah, 85 minutes gone. Norway, I think, have just scored and may have stole the game. Just waiting to see who the goal scorer is, waiting for it to come up. Don't know whether there's a check or anything like that, but they're saying 85 minutes Norway have just scored to probably make it 2-1, I would imagine. Yeah, it's come up. Yeah, so Norway just gone ahead 2-1, and it's
just getting to hear me foot mob. Yeah, 2-1 Norway.
Army U or something like that. Yeah. Yeah, so that's disappointing that sort of Stephen Kenny situation continues.
Another couple of minutes though. You've got
hopefully
5 plus maybe another 3 or 4.
Yeah, hopefully 9 minutes or whatever it is.
A good Norwegian name got the goal, wasn't
it? Yeah.
Is it Omo Juanfro? Is that his name?
Yeah.
And he's got the old Jamaican afro going on and stuff like that. Telling you how the world has changed.
Played underage for Mexico or something like that.
Yeah, it looks like it. Jesus.
I want to get your thoughts. How do you see this before we get on to our World Cup preview? Because obviously we want to get into that and have a bit of fun and stuff like that. And remind me, I've set my wife a task for this World Cup to get her involved as well. I'll let you know about it. It's interesting. A lot of people might want to try this as well. But yeah, how do you see this going out? Is he just going to hang around? Is he going to be gone? Are they going to come to some sort of an arrangement? He's clearly not going to kick a ball for United again anyway, I would assume.
Absolutely not. I think at the minute United are just waiting until all of this has been aired, you know, and because they can't go and do anything halfway through the interview type thing, the way it's been split up and that. I see them taking a day or two to process and to cross all the T's and dot all the I's. But
legal advice, yeah.
Yeah, but I'd imagine early next week, Monday or Tuesday, we'll find out he's been relieved of his duties. It will be interesting to find out when the first Portugal game is. Because it wouldn't shock me if United tried to do this on the eve of the first Portugal game or on the day of the first Portugal game, just to say, here's a little parting shot for you, my friend. Take that in your pipe and smoke it.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen the clips, have you? He's been getting a frosty reception from the squad. I
He
don't
sure
know.
has.
The one that was telling the Bruno Fernandes one was interesting, obviously.
Yeah.
Dallo kind of blanked him as well on the bike, the exercise bike. But I don't know, did you see the Cancelo one?
Saw the Cancelo one, yeah. It was an
Yeah.
interesting one considering he's not a United
Yeah.
player, you know.
Yeah, that was a kind of a more brash kind of fuck off and leave me alone kind of thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, and you know, I heard a couple of commentators and stuff like that talking about how at times when he's in Portuguese training, he likes to try and orchestrate the training. And he's asking lads, do this, do this, do this. Now, maybe this is as simple as Cancelo saying, I already play for the best manager in the world. I don't need you, you fucking moron on my face, telling me what to do. You know, I play for, the god of management, Pep Guardiola. He wants me to play a certain way. And if our gaffer wants me to play away, he'll tell me what to do. But I won't be buying into any of your bullshit because you're a guy on the wane who feels like he needs to rub shoulders with everybody on the way down.
Yeah.
Do you know that type of thing?
Yeah,
it probably sounds very condescending from him at times as well, because he's got that air of arrogance about him as well. You know what I mean? That that colonial almost air of arrogance.
Yeah. He actually made the point last night that he said he's played for world class managers all through his career and stuff like that, and he said he always had a repertoire or a communication with those managers where he could go and talk to them about how he felt things were going with the team and playing and stuff like that, and that there was a proper kind of forum for that. Acers is in the comments there. Portugal versus Ghana on Thursday at 4 p.m. So that's this day week. So that should be interesting.
It's the day.
Mark your cards for Wednesday evening.
Head off, Wednesday evening. That could be it'll be interesting to see. I don't know, whether would decide to do it on the likes of Dallo and Fernandes, because obviously it would affect them heavily as well. And when you've got two guys who have, two guys that have put their best foot forward for us this season and given everything, whether at times, like every player, they go through difficult times, but certainly two lads you couldn't label as two guys that weren't given everything.
Yeah. I seen a brilliant stitched video today on TikTok, and what it was is on the top I had Portugal warming up for a match, and they were doing stretches, and all the team were around the circle doing stretches, and he was off on his own doing a stretch about 5 yards away from them. And on the bottom then I had the Senegal team warming up, and they were all huddled in a group. I don't know whether you've seen this, and they do like it's kind of like New Zealand, like the All Blacks, not kind of hacker, but they're doing like it's like a Senegalese like a tribal war dance, like a tribal dance, something like that, to warm up and stuff like that. And it's so colourful, and they're all happy, and they're all smiling, and they're all laughing and all. And then on top, it's all so serious, of course, because the boys are away stretching, and he's kind of on his own. The typical "why always me" kind of thing, But yeah, it was interesting. It was funny just to see it and compare it and stuff like that. But yeah, this is going to roll on, I think, for a week or two, and it's going to be intriguing to see how it goes.
Sure is.
But we will watch it, and we will continue to watch it, because
I was going to say I'm not that intrigued, because I'm not even going to watch it. I won't lie.
Well, you'll be intrigued on the outcome, how the club now handle it. That'll be intriguing to see what way they handle it.
Sorry, sound's going. You hear me there?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I sure can. I just didn't hear the end of that there.
No, what I said was not intriguing from his point of view, but intriguing on how the club handles it, and what way they come to the end of the contract, or how they pay him out, or do they have to pay him out, or do they just show him the door, or what way? When George Mendes is involved.
I think they're looking at breach of contract, aren't they, for painting the club in a bad sort of a light and stuff like that. And I think most people would say, you know what, I don't think we could argue with that, really.
Yeah, there's an interesting point from Acers. I think when Portugal are eliminated from the World Cup, United will announce they parted company with Ronaldo. He didn't play against Nigeria tonight in a 4-0 friendly win. What's going on with this lad? Every time the teams he's playing for keep on winning. Interesting.
It's certainly easier playing when you have 11 men on the pitch, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Right, let's get into our World Cup. We're gonna take a look at. We're going to give our thoughts on it, and then we're going to do a special round of Beat the Bookie where we picked out a few bets, and then at the end I'll tell you the task I have set my wife now that we've a nice beautiful kitchen. Let's say that's a little hint for you. Let's go full screen on these groups so we can see what we're looking at. Right, so let's start. Group A: Qatar, Ecuador, Senegal, and Netherlands. We're also hearing today Sadio Mane is out of the World Cup with that leg injury.
Yeah,
gone.
Yeah,
so that's going to be
very
huge
sad news,
for
obviously.
Senegal. Yeah. And again, another huge player.
It's
Ankunku
it's
the other day.
huge. It's huge. Yeah, listen, and I've spoken about this a few times. It's obviously it's desperately sad for Sadio himself because he's at an age where it's more than likely going to be his last World Cup. Would you think?
Possibly.
I suppose, you know, the other thing, and I know I mentioned it in the group in the chat. It's almost like the footballing gods aren't happy with what's going on at the minute and with how this is being run, because
Karma.
I don't know if I've ever seen so many world-class footballers not make a World Cup because of injury. You know, now we have to remember it's also mid-November when it's kicking off. So, you know, and with everything being compressed into such a small time, you could have a 2 or 3 week injury and which is a knock in some cases, and now you're out of the whole tournament.
Yeah.
Because you don't have that lead-in time, you don't have that exit time. Like I heard some of the England lads talking on Sky Sports yesterday, where they used to get 4 weeks from the end of the World Cup. That ain't happening this year. I don't even think it's 4 weeks door to door.
Yeah, and even this week, it's an interesting one. Even this week, some of those teams are playing friendlies.
That's
which is amazing. Like
That's just
when you think about the bad luck that the tournament has had and the players.
Italy played last night, didn't they?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, but it's just
Italy won. They beat Albania 3-1 last night, and Scotland had a game with Scotland play Estonia, was it, or
Scotland played?
I'm trying to think who it was. I thought it was Estonia. Maybe it wasn't.
I'll tell you now.
I thought it was another team who hadn't qualified, if I'm honest.
No, Scotland played Turkey. They got beaten 2-1.
Oh, they played Turkey. I saw John McGinn got a good goal. They were 2-0 down, and McGinn pulled one back. But I suppose the only thing at times with the likes of, if we look at Senegal, just at times, and it doesn't happen all the time, but when you have such a massive figurehead in your team and you take him out, other guys will take a little bit of the burden, and all of a sudden you'll find that maybe the unit works a bit better. Because at times when you've got a Sadio Mane in your Senegal, you look up, everyone looks to Sadio and pings him the ball. Now, if he's got 2 or 3 guys around him, that makes life very, very difficult for him. Whereas if everyone kind of shares the workload and guys can start, there's full time now, and guys can start, you know, getting themselves one-to-one with defenders and stuff like that, it might make life a little bit easier for them at times.
Yeah, we see it with Mo at Egypt as well. They try to push everything through Mo Salah as well, and if you mark him out of the game, it becomes very blunt. Yeah, absolutely. So let's go down through the groups and let's pick who we think's going to come out. Group A, are you going with obviously the Netherlands? Are you going with Senegal there?
Yeah, I'm going with the Netherlands, and I am going with Senegal. However, and I need to say this very gently, don't be surprised if we see a bit of jiggery pokery where Qatar is concerned. You know, I think for the hosts,
how very dare you,
for the host to come out of the group, I think would be huge. I don't know whether, you know, opposition are going to have lads sent off, or whether there's penalties going to be given, or what way it's going to work, or how it's going to work. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Qatar pick up certainly one win and maybe do enough to get through with a draw or something like that. You know, 4 points and skip through the group, maybe.
Big show, interesting, yeah.
Yeah, listen, I my head says Senegal and the Netherlands are the best 2 teams in the group, but we just know at times the world doesn't work like that. You know,
it's you know what's happened to us because we both covered the AFCON This is now how we think.
Do you know what I mean? Like this, yeah,
And
yeah,
that's all I'm saying.
yeah.
Between VAR and everything else, that's all I'm saying. Let's move on then. Group B, England, Iran, USA, and Wales.
So I think England are going to top this group. I think they'll top it fairly handily. I think it's going to be a tough battle between the US and Wales to get out of the group. And I suppose if I'm honest, my heart says Wales, but my head just says the USA. I think they've just got a little bit more. So I think I'll go England and the US there.
England and the US. Okay. Group C, Argentina, Saudi Arabia, Mexico, and Poland. This is an intriguing group now, isn't it?
Yeah, again, it's another one of those groups where I think Argentina will win it. I think Saudi Arabia will be the whipping boys, and I think it's going to be between Mexico and Poland as to who gets through. I think here I'm probably just going to side with Poland. I think Mexico are a good side, and they always do well at the World Cups, but I think when you've got Lewandowski in there, and we know they've got a lot of players that play in the Champions League and in Europe and stuff like that, I think Poland should just have enough here to get through this group with Argentina.
Yeah, absolutely. Acer's back in the comments. Bruno scored the 2 goals tonight. Excellent. And Mane is a massive loss. Absolutely. Holland will destroy Group A. Yeah, I think so. I think Holland are kind of the dark horses in this tournament, believe it or not. And he says Turkey as well. Yeah, it was Turkey who Scotland played. That's from that comment earlier.
Yeah.
Group D. Oh, just a little case of point as well. If Argentina win their group and Portugal win the group, I don't know if you read this. They don't meet again until the final. So could you imagine if we had a Messi Ronaldo final?
Yeah, it'd
you
be
go.
It'd be pretty cool, all right. Yeah.
That narrative would be unreal.
We'd all have our Argentina jerseys on anyway, wouldn't we?
I think every United fan would be an Argentinian and a Messi fan anyway, that's for sure.
We had a little incident in the house here yesterday, and obviously Brody's 7 now, and he hears a lot of what goes on. So when Daddy's saying something about that Portuguese, what, he's acutely aware who I'm talking about. So I said to him yesterday, I was getting him dressed for school, and I said, Brody, who are we going to support for the World Cup? I says, we need to make a decision, Now, I'm in my head when I'm asking this question, I'm asking for a particular reason, which I will get to in a moment. But Brody says, he kind of had a little grin, and he says, we could support Portugal, Dad, couldn't we? Now, obviously, we've been to Portugal on our holidays, and he got the Portugal kit and stuff like that on the way home. And I glared at him a little bit, and he said to me, but only for Bruno, Dad, right? And I says, yeah, we could. And I think he saw it wasn't sitting very, very well with me. Yeah. And he said, Dad, you know what? Actually, why don't we support Argentina? Because he said, I like Messi. I think he's the GOAT. And I says, I agree with you, kid. Let's support Argentina. So I packed him off. I packed him off into the car. And he was off on his way to school with Mammy and Granny and Tallulah and stuff like that. And I nipped back inside here and I got him the away Argentina jersey with Messi and 10 on the back of it. So it'll hopefully be here Tuesday and he'll be ready then for his World Cup support,
Brilliant. Excellent. Right, Group D, France, Australia, Denmark, and Tunisia. This is France and Denmark, I would think, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
Or Denmark and France.
Well, that's how I see it, if I'm honest. I think Denmark will win this group. Yeah. I watched Denmark play France in the Nations League a couple of weeks ago, and Denmark absolutely battered them.
Yeah.
Battered them.
Yeah, I'd say I looked at that footage again this morning from Camavinga with Nkunku as well. The lad, and he's a young lad as well. He must be absolutely disgusted and distraught that he's after costing the other guy his place.
And you know what?
And it was such a freaky thing to happen as well.
And he's been ridiculed on social media over it.
Yeah, but it was such a freak
really
accident,
gone at him.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, so that's stuff like that's going to happen.
And, and it's not like the two of them are fighting for the same position or anything,
No, absolutely not. And I think the boy Camavinga would be more than happy to have Nkunku in the side with him. So it's he's not really done
100%.
himself a favour either.
Absolutely. So Group B is Spain, Germany, Japan. Who else got in there? What's that IC playoff 2? I didn't say that actually when I was putting it up there. Don't know who's in there. See that Group B?
I see it. I don't know.
I'm not sure. I'm sure Racers will tell us in the comments in the chat anyway. But it's regardless of who it is, it's Spain and Germany, isn't it?
Yeah, it sure is. I think that they're gonna go about this very differently, Spain and Germany, aren't they?
Yeah.
I looked at the Spain team the other day, the Spain 26, the squad, and their only really, really, really outright goal scorer or centre forward, as you would describe it, is Alvaro Morata. And I just thought, wow, how the mighty have fallen since the days of Raul, Morientes, David Villa, and now they've got a guy like, now not that he doesn't put, not that there's not work rate from the lad Morata, but I mean, as a 9 and as a goal scorer, he leaves a lot to be desired. He really does. I think Spain are going to try and build their World Cup on clean sheets and on and nicking 1-0 wins here and there. They've obviously got Sergio Busquets and the boys, Gavi and Pedri in the midfield there. They've got the likes of Ferran Torres and Ansu Fati, and they do have some good footballers. I really like the boy Dani Almo and stuff like that. I think Germany, for me, again, minus a striker. They're really, really missing a striker here, Germany. I think they've got a better kind of blend to their squad. But I think again they're gonna struggle to keep clean sheets at times. They're very un-German like this side. Like they seem to win games 4-2 and 3-1. That there's not a lot of 1 and 2-0s, which was always kind of synonymous with Germany and the German lads,
Yeah. What did you make of the exclusion of Thiago for Spain?
Yeah, like it's a strange one. It really is. I suppose if you're Luis Enrique and you've got the opportunity to pick that Barcelona midfield, you possibly pick it. But I mean, what an option to have even off the bench, where a game is 0-0 or you're heading into extra time, and or somebody gets injured, and you have a guy that can come in and anchor your midfield and play the kind of football that Thiago can play. It was strange, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I was thinking even to have around the squad, even for that bit of experience and stuff like that and all, because with Gavi and Pedri there, so very young and stuff like that, to have an experienced guy like Thiago there, it was, won it all and done it all, so it was a strange one. Group F, Belgium, Canada, Morocco, and Croatia.
I'm going to go Spain to top that and Germany to come out second, by the way.
Okay. Belgium, Canada, Morocco, and Croatia.
Yeah, this will be a toss up. Whoever wins the Belgium and Croatia game tops the group for me. And I think Canada and Morocco will fight it out for the minor honours. I think if it's a draw, it's all about how many you can pull past Canada and Morocco. Germany or Belgium haven't been at the top of at the height of their power, shall we say. But yourself, when you get into a tournament like this and the likes of Kevin De Bruyne and Hazard and Lukaku, and it only takes 4 or 5 games to get them clicked and get them moving, and all of a sudden they're in the semi-finals. So they're a good side, Belgium, but they need to have a really good tournament to get to the later stages for me.
Yeah, they certainly haven't delivered on the talent that they have available to them. Sure, they haven't. They flattered to deceive, really. They've some pool of players and stuff like that. Phenomenal.
They have, but I think something that's happened over the last couple of years is that the age of the squad has kind of risen every World Cup. And I kind of think they were like, the England golden generation where they were meant to win a World Cup and they just didn't, or the Euros and stuff like that. And they always just found somebody else was slightly better and they weren't able to get over the line, So that's tough for them.
Yeah, just a reminder, folks, if you are in the chat or you are viewing the content, make sure you're liking the video and smashing that subscribe button if you can. Group G, Brazil, Serbia, Switzerland, and Cameroon.
Yeah, so I actually think this is going to be quite a good group. I think Brazil will find some of these games quite tough. Not necessarily because they don't have a superior squad or or starting 11 and stuff like that. But I just think with the likes of Serbia and Switzerland, they're going to bring a huge physicality to the game. And it's not necessarily a physicality that Brazil will like or will want to try and match. When you've got Vinicius Jr., Neymar, Anthony, Casemiro, Fred, guys like that, none of those lads are overly physical. Okay, albeit Casemiro maybe. But I think when you're going in against Serbia, you know, you've got Mitrovic and you've got a lot of those lads who fancy a tackle and who'll really want to tough it out. Now, I suppose they've got a little bit of a help with the weather as well, haven't they?
Yeah.
Serbia and Switzerland won't love that. And I think, to be honest, it's going to be very hard to call who gets out with Brazil. I do think Brazil will get out, but I just don't think they'll have it their own way. I think Brazil will get out, and if you hold a gun to me head, I think I'll just go for Switzerland.
I'm the same. I'm going for Switzerland to come out.
Yeah.
The more I watch Switzerland, and obviously Granit Xhaka, of course, is playing excellent at the moment.
Yeah, it really
but I
is.
think that Swiss team as well, they really play like a team and they work hard for each other and stuff like that. And that's a big thing at these tournaments.
And there's some great footballers.
Yeah.
Like they really, really do. You know, the boy Frowler who plays for Forest. You've got Jan Sommer in goal. You've got Kevin and Babu, Ricardo Rodriguez, like Fabian Schär. There's so many good footballers in that. Brian Bolo. And there's an influx of youth coming into that Swiss squad. I think,
and as you said, players as well who are playing really well at the moment as well.
Playing really well, playing in big
really
competitions and stuff like that. Fabian Schär has been immense for Newcastle this season. Really, really has. You know.
Group H, Portugal, Ghana, Uruguay, and Korea.
Yeah, as much as I don't want Portugal to get out of this group, I think they will. Again, I think at times Portugal don't maybe put their best foot forward in major tournaments. I think they'll stutter through this group, if I'm honest. I think they'll get out, but I don't think they'll be amazing.
They kind of grow into tournaments, don't they? They grow into them as they progress, kind of.
Yeah, a little bit. And they're masters at getting through groups. It's not necessarily that they've played well or they've thumped anyone. They've just all of a sudden, you've looked and they've got 5 points and they're through and you're going, how did that happen? You know, they weren't great. We actually looked at them and thought they weren't great. And then all of a sudden they're in the knockouts again and they grind out victories. I'm going to go Portugal. And again, head in this one says Uruguay. Heart says the Black Stars of Ghana. I would love to see Ghana get through here.
What about your boy Darwin Núñez? Surely you want your boy Darwin to go through, don't you?
Well, listen, the head says Uruguay.
Yeah.
The head says Uruguay.
Yeah.
You know, I just think the kind of you know, the festival of football that we get from the African teams.
Yeah.
And the fans and stuff like that is amazing. It really is. And I think they would add to the knockout stages of any competition. And I think that's why I'd like to see them. I think they've probably got the best opportunity, you know, maybe other than Senegal, to get out of a group.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, I think I'd like to see Ghana, but I think it'll be Portugal and Uruguay, if I'm honest.
Yeah, it's always great when you get to the knockout stages and there's representation from all the different continents. It adds to it as well as a worldwide, you know, sport and spectacle and stuff like that. I think Portugal and Uruguay, though. I think Uruguay. Have you looked at that Uruguay team and that Uruguay squad?
I looked at the Uruguay squad. Yeah, I did.
Stunning, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a lot of pretty good footballers in there, isn't there?
Yeah, unbelievable.
You know, if they can
harness that, if they can get a bit of team going there, they could do damage in this tournament big time.
Yeah, they've plenty of ammunition, let's say.
Cavani, Suarez, Núñez, Valverde. Good Lord.
Yeah, Bentancur,
who was on fire.
Bentancur, who was like out the door for Spurs at the minute. Like he really is. It'll be strange. We'll have to have a wait and see.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting one. We'll be talking about it and beat the bookie anyway. That's for sure.
Sure will.
A little hint anyway. What you're thinking? Who do you think takes it, or do you want to hold it for your? Have you done your bets, or?
I've done my bets. I'll hold it all for my bets.
Hold it for the bets then.
Yeah.
Right. Well, then we'll get into beat the bookie then, and we'll see what people think, see what other people's picks are as well.
I've done
Right.
I need to just knock my camera off for this because I have it on the phone in my hand.
Yeah, take your time.
So I've come up with a couple of different bets here. There we go. So and you'll kind of get a feel for how we feel things are gonna go here, you know. The first one I did was I did 4 teams to get out of their groups. Sorry, I'm
Okay.
lying. I did 4 teams to win their groups.
Okay.
So I've gone with Netherlands, obviously, in Group A.
I'll bring up the groups again then. Yeah, go ahead, yeah.
Yeah. I've gone with Netherlands to win the group in Group A.
Okay.
If you go to Group D, I've actually gone for Denmark to win the group.
Okay, yeah.
Group E, I've gone for Spain to top the group.
Okay.
And Group H, I've gone for Portugal to top the group.
Okay.
So it's a little 4-team accumulator.
Yeah.
And it'll pay 15 to 1.
15 to 1. Not too bad. Not a stretch by any means.
Not a stretch.
No.
Not a stretch. No.
I mean, you could argue the only iffy one would be Denmark, but then when you look at France and the likes of Lukaku getting injured and stuff like that, and
but that's
now
why
Kante and
you're getting
players.
those odds, you know.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's a good show.
Yeah. I have gone for. I have an outright winner, and I have a dark horse as well.
Okay.
So my outright winner, I have gone for Argentina at 11 to 2.
Okay.
And my dark horse for the 2022 FIFA World Cup at 25 to 1 is Denmark.
Okay. Interesting.
I genuinely think these are an unbelievable team. I think we saw what they were capable of at the last Euros, albeit without their talisman and Christian Eriksen. I just wonder how good could they be with him going through this group stage, and how him being there will galvanise that squad. You know, because don't forget, 2 years ago when that incident occurred at the Euros, like, he was a dead man on that pitch. And if you look 2 years down the road, what does it do to that squad to have him starting in the centre midfield position, pulling the strings, anchoring that team? Like, that must give you a huge, huge confidence in your ability and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah, that first national anthem would be quite emotional, won't it?
Oh,
I
absolutely.
would imagine. Yeah, for everyone, anyone who's a football fan, I would imagine.
Yeah.
I just wonder. I wonder kind of the wave that they rode at the last tournament, how much of it was on the back of the emotion of what happened and stuff like that. That's my only concern. But look, they're a fabulous team, and again, as we said about Switzerland, they play as a team and as a unit, and it's very, very impressive to watch. And that's so big in tournaments like this. Again, weather-wise, they may not fancy it. That's the only thing.
They've won a major tournament before. Not these players, but they have won it. They've history with it. They were a late replacement going into the Euros, and they were able to, in Euro '88, and they were able to win it. You know.
Yeah, I picked out some fun bets, really. You know, my first bet, there was kind of a Charles Darwin Nunes flavour to it and stuff like that.
Right.
But Uruguay each way are 50 to 1.
50 to 1.
Yeah, 50 to 1 to win it, and obviously the each way better give you 10 to 1. I think it's a fifth of the odds first or second. So to make the final, they would be 10 to make it would be 10 to 1, but 50 to 1 to win it. I thought it's a nice price if you want to have a fun bet. And of course, I put Darwin, who's in great form at the moment. I put him in as top goal scorer. He's 40 to 1 to be top goal scorer.
I did a top goal scorer myself.
Okay.
But he doesn't come in at 40. I've gone for Lautaro Martinez at 18 to 1.
Nice. Good bet. Good bet. Banging form as well.
Banging form.
Excellent.
Looking really good. Argentina should be able to get through that group stage and get a couple of goals under their belt.
I just thought Nunes, if he's up front there with Suarez and Cavani and all, that has to be goals in him, doesn't it?
Should be.
Yeah,
And I
because
mean,
I
if you look at it, like there's a possibility they could pump Korea,
yeah,
and if they turn up against Ghana, they could get a couple as well. So, if you're sharing out 5 or 6 goals in those 2 games, you'd have to think the likelihood is he gets 2 of them anyway, wouldn't you?
yeah, absolutely. That was my thinking.
Yeah.
And then there was an interesting bet there: the highest scorers by group, and Group H, who is Portugal and Uruguay and Ghana and Korea. Um, they're 9-1 to be the highest scorers. I think
In
they're
the group.
actually in the total for the group highest scorers
Okay.
against the other groups, and I thought that was a great price. They were one of the outsiders, and I'm thinking you have Portugal in there, you have Uruguay. We don't know. Ghana's kind of the unknown. Korea, we're probably not holding out. They'll probably get pumped up a couple of times in matches and
Now,
stuff like that.
sorry, just to make sure I'm correct on this, is this to be the highest goal scorer in any group?
Yeah, the highest goals, the highest group scorer, if you like. So if you look at Group A, Group A might be favourites at 3-1, say, to score X amount, the highest amount of goals, so the highest scorers. So you would tally
Yeah,
up
but
all the
is it,
goals in each group.
all the goals or just the goals scored by one team?
No, the whole group as a whole.
Okay.
So you tally up the whole
Yeah,
group to
that's
be the top scoring group. The
I
top
wasn't
scoring
sure.
group, if you like.
Yeah,
So it's 9-1. It's a nice bet when you see the talent that's in there and the teams.
yeah, absolutely.
Interesting. Then the other one I picked out, I don't know if you looked at this, lowest scoring team. I don't know if you picked out a lowest scoring team or if you had a view on it.
Tunisia, I suppose.
I went with Canada,
Okay.
and they're 12-1 to be the lowest scorers. I thought that was a decent bet as well for a
Yeah,
fun bet, like.
it's not bad.
Um, and then I went with the winning group, so you can pick out where the winners come from, whichever group. So you could have the winning group who go on to win the tournament. And I went with Group H again at 10-1. So that gives you Portugal, Ghana, and Uruguay. I presume Korea won't do a whole lot in
Yeah,
it. But you're 10-1 for any of those three to win it, basically, out of that group.
that's a nice.
It's just another fun bet, like.
It's a nice bet actually.
Yeah.
I might need to get some details from where you got these bets.
Yeah, these are all on Boils. These are all listed on Boils. They've loads of different
Okay.
ones as well. Um,
I did another one actually
okay.
because and again it's probably one that you will have expected me to do. Because I did the Golden Glove.
Okay.
Because obviously the Golden Boot I went for Lautaro Martinez. He was 18-1.
Yeah.
And the Golden Glove, which is for the most clean sheets, I actually went for his compatriot Emiliano Martinez of Aston Villa,
Okay.
and he was 13-2, so 6.5. You could possibly do the two of them as a little double, and do top
Yeah.
scorer
And
and
Golden Glove and a double.
Golden Glove in a double.
Yeah.
You have 18 and 6.5. You'd have a nice price there if it came up.
Yeah. I wonder, could we? It'd be hard for me to look past Allison. Would be tough for me to look past Allison on that one. I don't know what price he is. For a
You
Golden
see,
Glove.
I don't. You see, the issue is we're not picking who the best goalkeeper is. We're picking
It's the
who's
most
going to
clean
keep
sheets.
clean sheets. And
Yeah.
like Brazil have never, ever been synonymous for keeping clean sheets, and there's always goals,
Because
excuse
of
me,
the attack.
in there. Yeah, because of the
Yeah.
attack and stuff like
Attack,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, I suppose Allison, when I was looking at Emiliano Martinez, I was also trying to remember that the fact that our old Lissandro was playing in front of him.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, you know what? Another guy banging form at the minute, and a guy that I would want playing centre back for my team, and he will give him great protection. Plus, I mean, you've got to believe they have at least one clean sheet in that group, which is the Saudi Arabia game. Now, if they
Yeah.
can get through Mexico or Poland with a second one, that's two coming out of the group. And then I think they go on to play maybe the second place team from the England group, if I'm right. Again, another clean one there. You could see someone win this with 4, maybe, I think. I think 4
Yeah.
will be the number of
Yeah,
clean sheets.
you would think out of 4 games you could have 3 clean sheets at that stage. Yeah, absolutely.
Possibly,
Yeah,
yeah.
It's a good show.
Yeah.
Doing your homework.
It's
I had
very unlike me, Niall, as you well know.
I had 2 other bets, but they're very short price. But obviously, one was prior to Sadio getting injured and coming out of the World Cup. Obviously, I had Senegal to reach the quarterfinals, was 3-1. I fancied them to do it if Sadio had be there. I don't fancy them to do it now, obviously. And Belgium to reach the semis is 3-1, which is I don't think is a bad bet. It's not a huge price.
I think it's an awful bet.
Oh dear, yeah, you don't see them reaching the semis. The last
I don't
4
personally.
Okay.
Now listen, as I said to you, there's a lot of Belgian players that maybe aren't in what you'd call form at the minute. If Roberto Martinez can get them into the training camp and get everyone singing from the same hymn sheet, have they got the talent and the ability? Absolutely they do. But I just think there's a lot of spots on that team right now where guys have gotten a little bit older over the last couple of years, and it just makes it a little bit more difficult to get the best out of them. You know, like, are we going to see Toby Alderweireld and Jan Vertonghen playing centre-back? Or is it going to be Dedrick Boyata and, you know, like there's Jason Denayer? Like, they're not great. None of those 4 are great centre-backs.
Yeah.
You know, and I think, like, as good as Courtois is, and obviously De Bruyne, he'll play ahead of him, the pair of Hazards and stuff like that, they're missing a little bit right now for me, Belgium.
Yeah, it'll probably be Mignolet Nets as well, will it?
Mignolet and Nets? No, I wouldn't think so.
Sure.
It'll be Courtois, I'd imagine.
Interesting. Because I think, did I read a stat there at the moment? Is he leading the stats in the Champions League at the moment? Is he Mignolet?
He might be,
yeah. Is he playing for Bruges at the moment?
He's playing for Bruges. Yeah.
Apparently he has the most, I think he has the best stats in the Champions League at the moment this season so far. Interesting.
I just don't see them, you know, taking Thibaut Courtois with his man of the match performance in the Champions League out of the
yeah, no,
you know
right.
what I mean?
You're right,
and that's,
yeah, absolutely.
If it was another keeper, possibly. I just think Courtois is unbelievable. And we all know poor El Simon
he'd be definitely
has
he's definitely
a gaff in him
number 1
at times as well.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And then you think of the Courtois as well. He doesn't even need a defence in front of him. He's the whole
no,
defense,
at times he really doesn't look. Yeah.
He's unreal, yeah, absolutely, yeah. So that should be interesting. Yeah, so that's it. That's our little preview, and obviously we'll be following it through some of the shows and stuff like that. We don't have a huge amount planned over the next 4 weeks, except we're going to have a festival of football. We'll be jumping on, giving reactions to things and stuff like that. Probably doing a few fun shows and stuff like that. You'll be away for 4 or 5 days and stuff like that. So, but we keep in touch and give our comments on things and stuff like that. So, this little task I had set for Hillary was that for the next month, because we got this lovely kitchen in, we're going to test it. And what I said to her was, each day. Well,
I know what it is. You wanted to cook a meal specific to each country in the draw.
Yeah, what I asked her to do was, what we're going to do is each day of the World Cup, we're going to pick a country and we're going to cook a traditional dish from that country, basically. So like obviously on Monday, I think there's probably 8 teams on total. There's 4 games, I think, or whatever it is. So she'll have to pick one of them. But we're still trying to come up with ideas at the moment for Sunday, because I think Sunday is Qatar and Ecuador, isn't it?
That's right.
So
yeah.
That should be interesting. What I said I do is, if she commits to it and she does it, what I'll do is I'll do a little short each day of what the dish is and a bit of history to it, and put up a few pics of what it's like and stuff like that. So it's a nice little thing for her to get involved in, because she's getting more and more into the cooking now and stuff like that with the new kitchen, and trying to explore with spices and all this kind of thing. And I said, well, this would be a cool little thing to do, So it'll be interesting. Del Boy's in the comments. I was listening to Del Boy pulling his hair out, listening to the Ireland game. How are you, Del? Fucking Ireland, yeah, absolutely, yeah. No surprise at all, Del. Absolutely crazy. I don't know, for your sins, man, I don't know how you even do those watch-alongs and stuff like that. Acers are saying there's 3 games on Monday, so that would be 6 teams. So we'd only be picking one. We wouldn't be doing 6 dishes now. We're not that. We're not that good.
And what I was gonna say was, and we've obviously forgotten about it. I was about to say, at least if Italy are playing, you'd be able to stick a pizza on. But don't forget, Italy aren't there.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's not. It's not a. It's not that. It's not. I mean, obviously the England one will obviously be the easiest one.
Fish
Um,
and chips, way you go.
yeah, that's what I said to her. Fish and chips, and she loves Ramsden. She always loved the fish and chips with the mushy peas and
Pie
stuff
and
like that. And
mash,
also,
yeah, way you go.
yeah, so that'll be a handy one. But then after that, it gets interesting. When you're trying to come up with a Korean dish or something like that, she'll have to get her thinking hat on and stuff like that. But I wanted because we like
If
myself and
if
Ben
that's
obviously
not
follow it.
if
So
that's not noodles, I'll eat me hat.
yeah, absolutely. But it's kind of we're getting her involved as well. We always do a draw in the house as well. So we
Yeah,
always pick we pick three top teams each and three lower teams each. And we do a draw in the house, and the winner gets €50. But then I thought to keep her involved every day, I said I'd send her the teams. She has to pick a traditional dish for each of them, or I have to find the dish and she has to put it together. So it should make for a bit of fun. It'll be a fun month that way, and stuff like that.
absolutely.
So I will be commenting and letting people know.
I won't
Acers is
ask.
in
I
an
won't
English
ask
an
Rosanna
English
to sign up
roast.
for that one.
No, well, the fact that you're away for nearly a week of it anyway, it's going to be tough anyway,
Yeah,
isn't
absolutely.
it?
Yeah, sure is.
Well, that's it.
We
The
might try
the,
and
the
we might try and order food from each country when the days we're away or something.
Well, you have a lot of options there. You just going to New York. New York is extremely cultural diverse and stuff like that. So you'll be able to find a little bit of
And
anything you want over
we're
there.
there for two of the USA games.
Very good.
We're
It'll be
there for
electric, I'd
we're
say.
there for USA England, and we're there for USA Iraq or Iran.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, you should check out actually if you get a chance. I don't know what bars you'd be going to for it, but Carragher's bar is brilliant for the football. I know it's Carragher and stuff like that, and it's primarily Liverpool,
Yeah,
but they
I
they
wouldn't
put on a
line that
great show.
Swine's pockets.
Yeah, I think he's only there in name. I don't think it's having to do with him. To be honest,
Oh, it's
I
his
think
alright, isn't it?
it's just his name. No, I think it's just his name over the door. I would imagine. I think that's just the badge.
Oh, I thought it was
Yeah, I'm
his. I
not too
thought he
sure.
owned it.
Well, I maybe that's how they present it. I'm not sure if that
Possibly.
might be the case. Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, pleasure as always. As always, folks, if you can hit a like on the way out, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification button. We will be dropping content throughout the month. Just less pressure on us to arrive at certain times to deliver content and stuff like that. Darren's off to New York and Boston next week. He's going to have a great time. I'm going to be sampling all these traditional national dishes for the next month. God knows what it's going to do to my waist, but sure, let's
I
see.
think we can let them know we'll probably be making an appearance pretty soon on another podcast, will we?
Yeah, I would have thought
We
so.
will be on Dynamo's dozen pretty soon, I imagine, heading into Survivor Series.
Yeah, I think that's a plan. All right, we're going to be doing a Survivor Series preview. Let's say, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Could even happen tomorrow. Maybe I'm not too sure. I haven't heard from Eno yet, but don't
So
know if
they
he's hit
can,
you up yet.
they can catch us. We're full of content. We're the content creators here.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah. So that's it. We are signing off for the moment, but the road to Qatar is alive and well. And we shall see what happens. Until next time, Blow, a pleasure as always. Talk to you real
Thanks,
soon.
brother. Cheers.